A corvette is a small warship. It is traditionally the smallest class of vessel considered to be a proper warship. The warship class above the corvette is that of the frigate, while the class below was historically that of the sloop-of-war. The modern types of ship below a corvette are coastal patrol craft and fast attack craft. In modern terms, a corvette is typically between 500 tons and 2,000 tons, although recent designs may approach 3,000 tons, which might instead be considered a small frigate. The word corvette is first found in Middle French, a diminutive of the Dutch word korf, meaning a small ship, from the Latin corbis, meaning basket. The rank corvette captain, equivalent in many navies to lieutenant commander, derives from the name of this type of ship. The rank is the most junior of three captain ranks in several European and South American navies, because a corvette, as the smallest class of rated warship, was traditionally the smallest class of vessel entitled to a commander of a captain rank. Sailing vessels. During the Age of Sail, corvettes were one of many types of warships smaller than a frigate and with a single deck of guns. They were very closely related to sloops of war. The role of the corvette consisted mostly of coastal patrol, fighting minor wars, supporting large fleets, or participating in show-the-flag missions. The English Navy began using small ships in the 1650s but described them as sloops rather than corvettes. The first reference to a corvette was with the French Navy in the 1670s, which may be where the term originated. The French Navy's corvettes grew over the decades, and by the 1780s they were ships of 20 guns or so, approximately equivalent to the British Navy's post ships. The British Navy did not adopt the term until the 1830s, long after the Napoleonic Wars, to describe a small sixth-rate vessel somewhat larger than a sloop. Most corvettes and sloops of the 17th century were around 40 to 60 feet in length and measured 40 to 70 tons burthen. They carried 4 to 8 smaller guns on a single deck. Over time, vessels of increasing size and capability were called corvettes. By 1800, they reached lengths of over 100 feet and measured from 400 to 600 tons burthen. Steamships. Ships during the steam era became much faster and more maneuverable than the sail ancestors. Corvettes during this era were typically used alongside gunboats during colonial missions. Battleships and other large vessels were unnecessary when fighting the indigenous people of the Far Eastern Africa. World War II. The modern corvette appeared during World War II as an easily built patrol and convoy escort vessel. The British naval designer William Reed drew up a small ship based on the single-shaft Smith Stock Company whale catcher Southern Pride, whose simple design and mercantile construction standards lent itself to rapid production in large numbers in small yards unused to naval work. First Lord of the Admiralty Winston Churchill, later Prime Minister, had a hand in reviving the name corvette. During the arms build-up leading to World War II, the term corvette was almost attached to the Tribal-class destroyer. The Tribals were so much larger than and sufficiently different from other British destroyers that some consideration was given to resurrecting the classification of corvette and applying it to them. This idea was dropped, and a term applied to small, mass-produced anti-submarine escorts such as the Flower class of World War II. The first modern corvettes were the Flower class. The chief duty was to protect convoys throughout the Battle of the Atlantic and on the routes from the UK to Murmansk, carrying supplies to the Soviet Union. The Flower-class corvette was originally designed for offshore patrol work, and was not ideal as an anti-submarine escort. They were really too short for open ocean work, too lightly armed for anti-aircraft defense, and little faster than the merchantmen they escorted, a particular problem given the faster German U-boat designs then emerging. They were very seaworthy and maneuverable, but living conditions for ocean voyagers were appalling. Because of this, the Corvette was superseded in the Royal Navy as the escort ship of choice by the frigate, which was larger, faster, better armed, and had 2 shafts. However, many small yards could not produce vessels of frigate size, so an improved Corvette design, the Castle class, was introduced later in the war, with some remaining in service until the mid-1950s. The Royal Australian Navy built 60 Bathurst-class corvettes, including 20 for the Royal Navy crewed by Australians, and 4 for the Indian Navy. These were officially described as Australian minesweepers, or as minesweeping sloops by the Royal Navy, and were named after Australian towns. The Bird-class minesweepers or trawlers were referred to as corvettes in the Royal New Zealand Navy, and 2, Kiwi and Moa, rammed and sank much larger Japanese submarine, the I-1, in 1943 in the Solomons. In Italy, the Regia Marina, in dire need of escort vessels for its convoys, designed the Gabbiano-class corvette, of which 59 were built between 1942 and 1943. They proved apt at operations in the Mediterranean Sea, especially in regards to their anti-air and anti-submarine capability, and were so successful that the class survived after the war into the Marina Militare Italiana until 1972. Modern corvettes, modern navies began a trend in the late 20th and early 21st centuries towards smaller, more maneuverable surface capability. Corvettes have a displacement between 540 and 3,000 long tons and measure 180 to 420 feet in length. They are usually armed with medium and small caliber guns, surface-to-surface missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and anti-submarine weapons. Many can accommodate a small or medium anti-submarine warfare helicopter. Most countries with coastlines can build Corvette-sized ships, either as part of the commercial shipbuilding activities or in purpose-built yards. But the sensors, weapons, and other systems required for a surface combatant are more specialized and are around 60% of the total cost. These components are purchased on the international market. Current Corvette classes. Many countries today operate Corvettes. Some include Argentina, Bangladesh, Brazil, Bulgaria, China, Denmark, Germany, Egypt, India, Indonesia, Iran, Israel, Italy, Norway, Pakistan, the Philippines, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Russia, Singapore Navy, South Korea, Sweden, Malaysia and Turkey. Countries that border smaller seas, such as the Baltic Sea and the Persian Gulf, are more likely to build the smaller and more maneuverable corvettes, with Russia operating the most corvettes in the world. In the 1960s, the Portuguese Navy designed the João Coutinho-class corvettes as multi-role small frigates intended to be affordable for a small navy. The João Coutinho-class would soon inspire a series of similar projects, including the Spanish Descubierta, the German MEKO 140, the French A69, and the own Portuguese Baptista de Andrade, adopted by a number of medium and small-sized navies. The first operational warship based on stealth technology was the Royal Norwegian Navy's Skjold class. The Swedish Navy introduced the similarly stealthy Visby class. The United States is developing littoral combat ships, which are essentially large corvettes, the spacious hulls permitting space for mission modules, allowing them to undertake tasks formerly assigned to specialist classes such as minesweepers of the anti-submarine Oliver Hazard Perry class. Frigate. The Israeli Navy operates 3 SAR-5 class corvettes. Built in the U.S. to an Israeli design, they carry 1 helicopter and are well armed with offensive and defensive weapons systems, including the Barricade SAM, and advanced electronic sensors and countermeasures. They displace over 1,200 tons at full load. The Indian Navy plans to operate 4 Kamorta-class corvettes being built by Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers. The first corvette of this class, Pins Kamorta, was commissioned in Navy on the 23rd of August 2014. The second corvette, Pins Kadmat, was commissioned in Navy on the 7th of January 2016. The remaining 2 will be commissioned by 2017. The new German Navy Braunschweig class is designed to supplement Germany's fast attack craft and also incorporates stealth technology and land attack capabilities. The Israeli Navy has ordered 4 SAAR-6 class corvettes, a more heavily armed version of the type, deliveries commencing in 2019. Turkey began to build MALGEM class corvettes in 2005. The MALGEM class is designed for anti-submarine warfare and littoral patrol duty. The lead ship, TCG Habi Liada, entered Navy service in 2011. The design concept and mission profile of the MALGEM class is similar to the Freedom class of littoral combat ships of the United States. The Greek Navy has categorized the class as fast attack missile craft. A similar vessel is the Kilic class fast attack missile craft of the Turkish Navy, which is classified as a corvette by Lewis and Werft, the German ship designer. Corvettes preserved as museum ships. US Constellation 1854 sail corvette, Baltimore, Maryland. Our Uruguay 1874 steam and sail bark, Buenos Aires, Argentina. HMAS Castlemaine 1941 Bathurst-class corvette, Williamstown, Victoria, Australia. HMCS Sackville 1941 Flower-class corvette, Halifax, Nova Scotia. HMAS Whyalla 1941 Bathurst-class corvette, Whyalla, South Australia, Australia. FNS Karjala 1968 Turunmaa-class corvette, Turku, Finland. Hiddensee 1984 Tarantul-class missile corvette, Fall River, Massachusetts. HTMS Maglong in Samut Prakan Province, Thailand.